Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Lenox Justifier of Innocence, created by Zeus and Demeter to save humanity. I'm here as the character Josephine, and this is Mr. Buddy. He is the guard dog that was sent down by the ultimate creator to watch over Lenox. Now in the last week, Mr. Buddy had his new show premiere, his new pilot, for his new channel titled Mr. Buddy and Friends. So you'll have to go and check that out. His channel will be up and running next week, and that show is for the kiddos. So before we get started with today's story, I did want to thank those of you who have been following along, and I hope that you guys have had an amazing week. Now, for those of you who are new to this channel, thank you for tuning in and clicking on this content. This is a fantasy justice channel where superheroes and mythological gods unite in the fight to get justice for the innocent and restore the balance of good and evil. It is designed to allow you to listen like an audiobook or to watch and enjoy the images, the artwork, and the dramatization to assist your imagination during the stories, like a picture book. This channel piggybacks off of the book series titled Lenox Justifier of Innocence, which is available at all major booksellers. Some, if not all of the topics, are sensitive in nature, and some may trigger an emotional response. So I did want to forewarn you on that. Though the majority of the stories are loosely based on real-world occurrences, the characters are all fictitious. The names and the places have been changed in order to protect the identity of those involved. And the justice is carried out in imagination and fantasy. In today's story, we are going to be covering a patron's request. So we are going to go through the first half of the story today, and then in the next episode, we are going to carry out the justice part of the storyline. So it's going to be a two-part series. Now you'll want to make sure you stay until the end so that you find out what is coming up next on this channel and when Buddy's show will be airing. Now, with that said, let's get started. Enjoy the show. It was a warm fall day, mid-70s, light breeze, leaves falling from the trees. The perfect New England fall day. Jasmine and Rachel walked home together almost every day from school. The semi-formal was in 2 weeks, and neither of the ladies had a date. While they were walking home, a boy from their class named Joe pulled up next to them in his car and asked Rachel to the dance. He then offered to bring both of the ladies home. Jasmine did not want to be a third wheel, so she decided she was going to continue to walk by herself and enjoy the great fall weather. It was such a nice day out, she didn't want to miss out. As she walked, she heard a car slowly approaching behind her. She turned around thinking it was her friends, insisting on her getting a ride. But it was a man who appeared to be in his late 20s, maybe early 30s. He pulled up beside her and he asked her if she needed a ride. Jasmine politely declined, stated that she wanted to enjoy the warm fall weather. He replied, "Yes, it's great, isn't it?" But his demeanor changed. He had a sinister scowl on his brows. Feeling uncomfortable, Jasmine began to walk faster. He looked around to see if anybody was coming, and then he pulled his car ahead of her, got out, and demanded that she get in. When she refused, he screamed at her, lunging forward and grabbing her arm. That's when she noticed that he had a knife in his waistband. He forced her into the vehicle and made her hand over her phone. When she refused, he struck her in the face. And then he blamed her for making him do that to her. Jasmine was scared out of her mind, so she handed over her phone. He then smashed it against the dashboard of his car and flung it out the window. Jasmine was petrified. She was trying not to panic. "Where are you taking me?" she asked. "Shut up. Shut up," he yelled. "I'm trying to think." Jasmine was looking for a way out. She thought about opening the door and jumping, but he was driving so fast. And then she remembered that she had an air tag in her school bag that was attached to her keys that she was constantly misplacing. Feeling a little bit more at ease, thinking that her parents would be able to find her when they realized she hasn't come home. But unfortunately, he noticed her backpack and he grabbed it. She struggled with him for it. When he punched her in the face twice, she screamed and she let the bag go. He then proceeded to pull over his car erratically, yelling at her to stop screaming, while he was dumping the contents out of the backpack, and then he flung it into the woods on the side of the highway. Jasmine's heart sank. The pain she felt in her soul, knowing that her only chance of being located was now on the side of the road. That the pain from being struck in the face paled in comparison. She feared that she would never be found. She went numb. Her head was spinning as she watched this madman get back in the car, still screaming at her. She was becoming so detached that she couldn't even hear what he was saying. It sounded like mumbled. All she could hear was the sound of her heart pounding in her ears. He started to drive again until he reached a small cabin that had a shed in the backyard. He pulled her out of the car by her hair, threatening her that if she tried anything, that if she tried to run, he would shoot her. Jasmine immediately went into survival mode, telling herself to cooperate in order to survive. Once she started to cooperate with him, he became less aggressive. He brought her to the shed that was in his yard, leaving her in there while he proceeded to lock the door and board up the windows. The only bit of light that she had was a speck in the air vent above. She took a quick glance around, looking for anything that she could use to escape, but there were no tools or anything that looked to be remotely useful. Just a pile of rags in the corner and some old boxes that were disintegrating. Jasmine went and sat in the corner, hugging her knees to her chest to think of ways she can escape. She started rocking back and forth as a coping mechanism. She was unaware of how much time had passed when she heard him approaching the shed. Scared, she quickly got up and she braced herself for whatever he had in store for her. When he opened the door, he handed her a sandwich and a juice box, and he placed a bucket on the floor and told her that was where she was going to use the bathroom. And then he left, locking her back in. It was dark and chilly with a musty smell. What is he planning on doing with me, she wondered. She already seen his face, so she doubted that he would let her go alive. Her fear was so severe that she was incapable of tears. That evening, Jasmine's parents started to worry. It wasn't like her not to answer her phone or to be this late. They called Rachel, her friend, to see if she was with her. Rachel informed them that she had not seen her since after school, when she was walking home. Jasmine's mom had a horrible feeling inside. She began to call all of her friends and everybody they knew, and when nobody had heard from her or seen her, she then called the police. The police told her not to panic. They would take a ride through the route where she normally walked home from school. But they told her that it was most likely she was just being a rebellious teenager and she would be coming home soon. When Jasmine's father got home, he immediately went back out to the school to look for her. He rode around the streets, anywhere near there, to see if he could find her walking. Her older sister came home from work, wondering what all the panic was about. When she found out what was going on, she immediately said we can contact her or try to find her by using her phone. She went to his Snapchat to see where her location was. That's weird. It shows that she's by the woods about a half a mile from the school. There's nothing there though, she thought. Wait, doesn't she have an AirTag for her keys? She asked her mother. She went to their iCloud account where she could see the location. Mom, she said, it looks like she's about 7 miles away from where her Snapchat location is. That's weird. Jasmine's mom, whose name is Marta, went into a complete frenzy. Mom, calm down, Judy said. Let's call Dad and have him go check that area. And I'll go check the location where Snapchat says her phone is. You stay here in case she comes home. When Judy arrived to the area where the Snapchat location was pinging, she got out of the vehicle and looked around with her flashlight, calling out for Jasmine. But she was nowhere in sight. It was eerily quiet. All she could hear was the sound of the crickets and the leaves slightly rustling in the trees. Judy got back into her car and she turned it so that she could point her headlights into the part of the road where the trees were. She got back out and shining her flashlight around, but there was no sign of her. Then she noticed something reflecting. She went over, shining her light on it. It was Jasmine's phone. It was all smashed, but it was still working. She immediately called her dad. He answered. He said, I'm almost at the airport location. Both of them were panicking. I'll call you as soon as I get there and have a look around. Upon arriving at the location, he too got his flashlight out and started to look around, calling out for her. And then he noticed her bag. As he got closer, he seen that the contents were spread all over. His heart sank. As he shined the flashlight around, discovering more of the contents thrown about, he frantically checked her backpack, and it still contained the keys with the AirTag attached. His mind began to run through all kinds of scenarios. Take a deep breath. Don't panic, he told himself. When his daughter Judy called, stay calm, he said to himself out loud as he took a deep breath and answered the call. Hey Judy, I'm here. The backpack is here and all the contents are spread all over the ground. Oh my God, she said. Do you think she was robbed? Judy was becoming hysterical. Frank, that was the name of Jasmine's father, responded, let's not jump to conclusions. Let's call the police. You call from there and I will call from here so they can check both areas. As soon as he hung up, he called the police and Judy did the same. Tears were streaming down her face. She did not have a good feeling about this. The police dispatched officers to both locations and they began to question them. Has Jasmine run away before? They asked. Any boyfriends you don't know about? Both Judy and Frank were livid with this line of questioning. She would not run away, they attested. She has no reason to. She has a healthy home life and she's very well liked amongst her peers. She's only 15 years old. Why are you not issuing an Amber Alert? Do something. The police asked them to please stay calm. Teenagers run away all the time, even those whose lives seem perfect. Frank was ready to lose it on the officer when he replied this. But getting himself arrested wasn't going to help him accomplish anything. So he calmed down. Judy and Frank then decided to just go back and meet at the house. Marta was there waiting for them, still calling everyone that they knew, but no one had seen or heard from Jasmine. The next morning, when they woke up from barely any sleep, they immediately went to the school. They too said the same thing they were. Jasmine would not run away. 3 more days went by, and still nothing. The police had 0 leads. Growing increasingly frustrated and feeling helpless. "We have to do something," Martha yelled at Frank. "That's our baby." Judy made flyers to go hand out, and they went everywhere around the area. "Why is this not news?" she was asking. "Why are they not taking this more seriously?" Their fears and their grief turned into anger. Later that day, they were revisited by the police, informing them that they had a conference set up in order to inform the public of Jasmine's missing. They currently have no leads, so they were hoping that somebody with hearing the story will come forward if they've seen anything suspicious. Anything would help. Meanwhile, Jasmine was looking around the shed. She was feeling confused, dazed, as if she had been drugged, thinking that maybe he put something in the food or the drinks that he was giving her. Her memory was foggy. She had no idea how many days she was in there. She could not think clearly. What was he planning on doing with her, she wondered. She made a decision not to eat anything or drink anything that he brings her, so that she could clear her mind and plan an escape. So that is going to conclude the first half of this 2-part series. Now again, this is a patron's request, so I am very respectful in how I portray the characters because it is based on real events, the person's true story. So this part of the story is as accurate as I can make it according to the information that was given to me by the patron and the information I was able to find online on this case. The next half of the story is where we go into fantasy justice, where Lenox and her crew are going to do what it takes to bring Jasmine back home safely and bring the perpetrator to justice. So you want to make sure you come back next week so that you can see the second half. And at the end of this week, you're going to see the reemergence of Pujantero and Ovacasanama. So we will see you at the end of the week for that, and next week for the second half of this story. Now, if you're in Tampa Bay, like I am, I hope that you guys stay safe. We are supposed to be getting a hurricane passing by, so hopefully nobody gets injured and everybody remains safe and has plenty of food and water in your homes. I wish you all the best. Please take care of yourselves. I will see you at the end of the week. Make sure you take care of your kids. And as always, thank you for watching, and God bless.